Lab, this is it.
Nice, man.
So this is my spot that we built in a garage just a couple years ago during the pandemic. So pretty exciting, but basically there's walls within these walls, and give all credit to Sammy Bones, my buddy who built this. A lot of guys in town know him, but there's sound treatment behind all the walls all the way around. And then we did all of them with different angles and different shapes, essentially. Huge padding on that wall, some on the ceiling, tons of padding in the ceiling as well. Really to help, so the neighbors don't hate me. And this is probably the craziest part. This wall is actually stone. A lot of people think, is it all padding and cushioning? Because a lot of people are doing those cool new ones that look awesome. But I really wanted stone because a lot of big studios I've been in, I thought nobody has a stone wall in their home studio. So did that. And then this flooring is kind of this, I don't know, whatever this vinyl, like what you'd have in your house, that kind of stuff. So drum sit here. It's a really cool, not that we're on mics, but just right here, the kick especially has like a cool low end right here. But I wanted a live enough room that there was big drum sounds. Most of the records I like are huge drum sounds. But you can still, you can easily scale down, muffle on, put on your big fat snare drum and all this stuff. And there's plenty of ways to muffle it. But I found before this room recording, it was so hard to get big drum sounds without high ceilings. So that's why I bought this, and that's why I've spent so much time on the different room mic options.
So this originally was a garage, and when you saw it, you thought...
Garage door here, and I walked in, looked from the kitchen, I said, I'm buying this house, it's got a high ceiling, that's it. And so
you didn't even ask about the rest of the house, you just knew...
I just knew that I was...
Coming in this door with the high ceilings, and again, here's where the garage door was. No, I have been to studios where there is that stone, but it not only does it look great for social media, it also gives you that reflection, and I imagine that the variety of stone is going to provide enough bounce to keep phasing. Have you dealt with any phasing? Or
not a lot, but it's funny because all different pro engineers stop by. Our friends come and be like, "That's interesting, you did that," and I go, "Well, I didn't I wasn't a professional when I did it. I was just learning, and I thought it looked great."
Yeah.
But I asked some different questions, and that's why we did so much muffling in here. But still, it's a pretty it's a fairly dead room for what it is, but still live enough that my room mics all get big sounds out of it, which was the goal.
I love that. And did you build these baffles here?
I didn't personally build any of this. My buddy Sammy did all that. So it's all done custom by hand. He did all the electrical in here. He did all the, drywall and the flooring. This was just cement, and the ceiling didn't exist. He put all the lights in. All of it was he basically did this. It was just if you picture an empty garage that looked like bare bones.
I'll tell you, this is it, and we'll get to this drum set here, but if you look behind the drum set, there was a door here that you were going to leave in, which, is still there for resale value. But I think for anybody that is looking to do some sound control, but doesn't want to rebuild the room, there's ways around it because that sound will travel through windows and doors, but you've figured out a way around that.
Yeah, so that's a custom kind of door plug that's about this thick, so pretty thick, and it has just suction cup stuff on there, so it just locks in pretty tight. It's not airtight. You can hear drums outside, but they're not bad. I can track at 2 a.m. It's not an issue, so pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
And then the rest of it is just all storage, and basically I have all my drums in here. If you think 25 years of collecting drums, and my good friend Mike Berg is the person that makes the best cases, in my opinion. I have all his stuff. I'm so loyal. I'm brand loyal about everything. So thankful for all the companies I play. So all my cases are Berg, Humes and Berg. And since high school, I've had Humes and Berg cases. I tried SKB for a short window and broke 2 cymbal things on 2 flights in a row. So then I was like, I'm not doing it. Went back to Humes and Berg, and I've literally flied this thing all the time. Pretty big snare collection over the years. I was going to pull out a couple. Do you need all these drums? No, it's just what I love and what I collect.
No, the answer is yes.
The answer for a wife is it's a good investment. It's a tax write-off. You can always sell them for more than you got them for.
Yes.
So this is a 1983 Tama Bell Brass. That's a pretty crazy drum to own that I traded a church a hi-hat stand for back in the day. I didn't even know what it was. They just said we have a snare that's too loud from a huge 80s kit that was donated to them. This is on every Amber Pacific record. It's on Scott Stapp's newest record. I get it on a lot of country stuff too, but just that like classic bell brass sound is pretty hard to beat for.
It is. So Nick Raskulinix,
Yeah.
a great producer,
Yeah.
owns at least one of these and insists that most bands he produces uses this bell brass
I
drum.
believe it. So I've got a Craviotto, I've got a Brady, I've got a Keplinger, which is another really cool drum. I've got 3 Dinettes. So I'm big on collecting drums, but as a DW guy, I've been with DW over a decade. People always ask, like, what's my favorite DW snare?
Wow.
So this is knurled steel. They don't make it anymore, but it's a super heavy, seamless, and it's got those reinforcement rings built in. I don't believe it's actually a cast shell, but it looks like one.
Yeah.
But it's as heavy. This is like my main rock snare on the road with Stapp. I've used it with Red, with just a lot of different bands. That's been my go-to. So I've been with DW a long time. I've been with ProMark maybe close to 15 years. I've been with Evans almost 20 years. So I'm super loyal to those companies because they've taken care of me and been amazing. And Peisty, I think it's my 17th year with them.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me show you the kit and just the...
I mean, but as far as this ProMark stick, I mean, how many times...
You want to be careful.
How many sticks do you go through if
that will crack a few cymbals. But they are awesome.
That's
and
right.
I change heads all the time, and I'm always like a fiddling, tinkering with drums guy. I just love that. Okay, so here's the studio setup. This is a jazz kit, DW Jazz, which is their maple gum. It's kind of their USA. It's like their Gretsch USA shell idea.
Okay.
So this is what I've been recording a lot lately. My Pisces I change a lot, but this mixture of traditional, modern essential, and dark energy are kind of all my favorites in one setup.
And are you using a certain type of cymbal when you're recording compared to what you're taking on the road?
I play Big Beats live a lot, which are their 2002s with the black label. They're a lot thinner than regular 2002. They just do really well, and they're sturdy, and they don't break. They have that thin sound. I just get nervous about taking these. They're so expensive.
Yeah. But they record amazing.
They do, and like that traditional ride, like that's what Steve Jordan plays. That might be my favorite cymbal that Peisty makes right now. But this dark energy crash, they only make up to a 19, and I have it in a 20, and so I won't take it on the road. It's the greatest crash ever, but if it breaks, I just can't risk it. Yeah. So, but I might go to Modern Essentials next year. These are like when Vinny came over from Zildjian to Peisty, this line is unbelievable. And I think on the road next year, I'm just going to go to all of those because I've done the Big Beats so long, and I just love gear. I love to change it up. So the mics also, I switched to SE in the last couple years. Can you tell me about the
sizes that you've got here?
Oh, drums, yeah. So this is 13 by 9, 16 by 14.
Okay.
And this is 22 by 16. And I'm a 22 guy because of the knee replacement. I generally like 22s. My road kit is a little bit longer, but I just love 13-16. I can play a 12-16, but if I'm just picking, I can do everything on a 4-piece, and for me, 13-16 is like the way to go.
I hear you. We just finished our interview.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. We've gotten into the weeds with a lot of the gigs that you're doing. So if you're talking about Scott Stapp and all these other gigs and things like that. So we're getting into those. I encourage everyone to check out our interview.
If you get a chance.
And when we were in here, I was asking about these overheads.
So I switched to SE mics a few years ago, and a lot of guys, they're a newer company, but a lot of guys are using them, especially in rock and country, tons of bands. And this is their Rupert Neve model. I cannot even remember what it's called. It probably says on it, but it's a super high-end condenser mic that sounds great. And I got those right before I did this Amber Pacific record here this summer, and they just sound awesome. Super crystal clear sounding. But if you check out SC, I was using the ribbons as overheads that sound super great for like country stuff.
And those are back here, right?
Yeah, there's are room mics now.
I'm going to show those that you're talking about while we're on rooms.
Those are the SR 1s or 2s. Oh, VR 1, sorry.
VR 1. Mm-hmm.
But those ribbons sound amazing as overheads or room mics. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the kit is pretty much standard SC, except I use kick drum mics on the toms. And I started doing that with the Audix. I was using D6 and we started using them. But for me, they just sound fatter. Like I'm always going for bigger, like I want toms to just be massive most of the time. So
then the other thing, and I've used these before as well, is that you can see the settings on these SEs and the variety. You got modern, classic, and just a mix too, and the waveforms, and just kind of being able to tweak it in whatever works for you.
Then I do the Solomon, sub kick, which a lot of guys do.
Yep.
That's a good option to send people. This is a unique one too. It's called the Dirt mic. It's all distorted all the time, and a guy in Australia makes it, and it just like it's in that crotch position, and it just has a distorted lo-fi sound. So it doesn't work for everything, but you mix a little bit into the overall drums. As long as you're not washing cymbals, it sounds pretty awesome. So, and then this Warm Audio is the FET 47 Junior. I use as like kind of a close room mic or a bigger kick mic. Some producers just like that because they don't want a bigger room sound, but they want something close to the kit that makes it a little bigger. So I send all these options. I try to send 15 or 16 channels, mics of every song so that they can mix in if they want to, or, just have the options.
Can I ask you quickly about your settings here on this close room mic?
Those are... Professional buddy was over and I said, please set this how you would do it.
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
Great. Well, I mean, we can look and kind of see, and it looks like he's setting it towards the drum set itself, and it's more isolated behind us.
Yeah.
But that's a great point. I've threatened to do that myself, is have somebody that knows so much more than I do come over, work with the gear that I have, and do the settings.
I always recommend that because, like, I've spent my life trying to drum, not engineer. So now, every time a producer's in here, if we're working on something, they're going to usually move the snare where they like it, or we're going to try something different, overheads or go up and down or further away. We close mic the overheads, like super close for the punk stuff, because we were trying to just get cymbals and isolate the toms so they weren't in there. But most of the time when I'm tracking, I've got them up higher because I want to get snare and toms in the picture, because I love that. I feel like that's how you get the bigger sound with them. So really just depends what you're doing, I guess.
And you're using a spaced pair on the overheads, and it looks like one is higher than the other, but we're measured them to try to go for the middle of the snare drum for sure. Because it always looks goofy when it's so much higher. Sure, but it works. So the distance from the center of the snare, we want, to match, so we're not dealing with phasing or anything like that. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll do a flat mic inside. SE has one now that's like the 91. But most of the time I'll just be doing the main kick mic and the sub, and that usually works for a lot of stuff I do is either rock or country or straight ahead or worship, and a lot of it's in the same 2 and 4 vein.
Or rock and country.
Or rock and country, yeah. But like the punk stuff, we're going super fast, so we wanted the flat mic in there to get that really fast kick we wanted to get. So I'll change it up for, sometimes I'll go with the smaller tom mics too, or I'll switch to the regular large diaphragm condensers, because I use these a lot as well for overheads, and they just sound killer. It's kind of SE's 414 clone. It's pretty hard to beat as well. So thankfully I have a few different options just from all this time working on it. And then, so some people ask about my setup here. I've got Warm Audio preamps, kind of their AP clones. So 8 of the channels are running into that. And then I've got 2 Apollo 8XPs, which maybe is overkill, but I wanted to have the power to do it. So I'm running pre's on both so that I can run 16 channels. And, if I want to use the UA plugins, I'll usually use the Neve or the API ones. So nothing too crazy, but together they mix and feel like I get a really good raw sound that is not all processy and doesn't, not going to have to be, and people are going to replace it regardless, but it's nice to give them something good enough that you don't have to just completely sample or replace. Maybe you can blend it in, or you can.
Well, there's a reason why they're hiring you, not only for, take a look at this real quick. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to look into that for sure. I mean, they're hiring you for your sounds, but your performance, your playing. But and then as far as the presets, are you running it through a preamp or anything more than that?
Sometimes that's what I was saying. Sometimes I'll do the Warm Audio and still put a Neve plug-in or something on it if I want to try it, because if you're just trying to get a good sound, get the good sound.
Yes.
Like we're not making a Beatles record. So I'm just trying to get the best I can do in my room. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried if somebody's offended. So this is kind of the kit everybody knows me for. This is my Rode DW kit. It's a cherry mahogany. And that cool finish is just, I was the first DW guy to have this finish, so I'm stoked about it. And
It's beautiful.
yeah, and you can just see the mahogany color inside's cool. But this is 13, 16, 18 with a 22 kick.
Especially with that mahogany, I bet that's 16, 18 tunes well in the lower register.
They do. And you know, I'm a diehard Evans guy, and I know a lot of guys in town are diehard Remo, but I feel like the consistency, it's so much easier for me to tune floor toms with Evans, just of how they stay in tune and the collars sit on the shell. But it's just been my experience, because I've done it so long with the same companies, and that's made it, you know, I really went with DW because flying everywhere, it was just so much easier with backline. You're either going to get Pearl or DW or Yamaha, and maybe Tama, but if you're playing Ludwig or Gretsch, it's always a little bit harder. If you're playing any custom company, they're not going to have it. So I just love DW. I was like huge Josh Freese and huge Abe Laboral Jr. fan, so they were always DW and Peisty. That's what I love. And for me, I can fly in, especially if I'm playing with Step. They're going to have my kit, my sizes. It's going to have my heads on it. And I know that I can tune it up within, 15 or 20 minutes. I should be able to have everything close to what I'm used to. And we always fly in with our own mic package, so our ears are all set. And then it's nice because you're getting close to the sound that you're used to night after night, whether you're in an arena or a club or you're playing outside, on the beach or whatever.
That's such a good point when people are looking at companies' endorsement and yet doing lots of fly dates.
Yeah. Having
access to that material.
Yeah.
Those instruments is important. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That's amazing. What do you got over here? This other kit?
That is just the cases for that kit. I have a bigger floor tom with it as well, but that was Mike Berg did the finish to pretty much match close to that finish, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I didn't know about the jazz kit. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then actually that kit I bought at Forks. It's a contemporary classic. So it's poplar and mahogany, and it's a 24 kick. It's 24, 13, 16. Has a matching Craviotto snare they did when the new ownership bought Forks, and they changed it over. So that's a one-off in that finish. So that kit is awesome too. And I know I don't need these 3 kits, but again, it's what we do for a living. So I'm sure most guys watching have more kits, but I always feel bad when
I don't. No, I mean, hey, go to a carpenter's house.
Yeah,
go to.
These are the tools.
Yeah, these are the tools. Tell me about these albums here. These are. I think these are really cool, man, and something to totally be proud of.
So Amber Pacific's my longtime punk band. We've had our 5th album's coming out this year in 20 years, but we have 2 that are on vinyl, and we were on 2 different record labels in the day, so played on all those, obviously. Stapp's newest record, I actually recorded the drums here, so I'm really just proud of that being from my studio. Song's currently in the top 10 on Active Rock that is on this record that I tracked in the Beat Lab and I engineered, so I have a playing and engineering credit technically on the record.
I love that.
And then our newest Amber Pacific, which I did here, will print on vinyl as well, because that's coming back. People aren't buying CDs, so you print on vinyl. A lot of people don't even have record players. They're just they just collect them and they want to get them signed and put them in a thing. So anyways, this is the spot.
I love it. You're also teaching here?
I am, yeah. 3 days a week I try to teach out of here. So
yeah. And it's great because I imagine if parents come over, they've got a place to hang.
Well, it's funny. It's so much of it now is, a couple of them do, but almost everybody is now FaceTime or Skype. Like, I'd say 10 or 11 of my regular students are FaceTime or Skype, and I have 1 or 2 that come maybe once or twice a month that do in person. So, because otherwise I used to do 2 kits setup, but it's just such a hassle to keep it that way if it's not the majority of what you do.
Right.
Like I record so much more than I actually have somebody doing a lesson in here.
Yeah.
So I try to always be set up for recording, and then, if they're in person, it is nice. They can, and the house is empty, so that's nice. They can hang, and it's not like, it works.
Go wait in the car, Mom.
Yeah.
And let me ask you real quick, because I know you're teaching, but you've got supplies.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've got a nice little kind of mini warehouse of things if you need it.
And I mean, not everybody needs a Dango stick, but
I'm
super thankful. I've been with them a long time, and to have my logo on the sticks, and
But you've got these ready to go for
I know.
students.
Practice pads, that's actually why I stock them, is for the for the students.
Excellent. And then heads for touring and whatever.
I'm always touring and changing, and I try to help guys and help churches, and I just try to use them for good things. But I'm super thankful for these companies always helping me out and giving me good deals. And it's just years of working with companies. It's hard to explain to guys new to endorsements. If anybody's been in the game a while, you understand. You promote a company, you push them, you believe in them, you buy their product for years and years, and they help you when they can, and they help you when you're doing things that are valuable. So that's probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah. I love it. You're so organized and so neat, and I'm envious of that. It's inspiring me to do so. And folks, this is why I don't have a video of my studio yet, because it needs to get organized.
But you will.
I guess the only last thing is just the different. Is there a method to the madness of the cymbal cases?
There's not. They change. It's like one will be for Broadway. It's more about the series. So like I've got one bag is Master Series that I use for Pisces that I'm typically taking if I'm going to a session. There's one or two that will alternate what's being used at here, and then like one will be my Broadway or in town, or I'm taking it for a gig. So that's really just all they are.
Love it.
I could certainly consolidate. It's just easier with multiple bags to grab one or two from each and not feel like you got 8 cymbals in one bag. But
yeah. Awesome, man. And I'm sure it helps with the baffling a little bit.
It does, actually. Yeah, I was thinking about with the cases, too, because if you have snares, they all vibrate. And any drummer knows with snares sitting in the room you're recording, you got to sit and turn off all the wires.
I mean, how
I do all the bags.
It's not much different than a gobo. It's got
that's
that.
True. Oh, I've got an A&F snare. I forgot about that. I'm pretty good about, I'll make sure I have to use it on a session within a year, or I have to sell it. Like, that's my own personal thing that I do. Unless it's, some really rare thing. But if it's rare, I'm going to use it because I still like to record it. But that way it keeps me from just collecting snares, because I'll forget I have something and then go, oh, well, I think you need to sell that now. Because I have a Noble and Cooley that a buddy's been asking to buy this week, and I love the drum, and I'm like, if I played it in a while, maybe I should sell it. So the Brady too, I don't want to part with because they're rare, and it's
true. It's
one of those things. But do you need a $1,000 drum sitting on your shelf? Maybe not. It's just.
So just put it in the living room.
Right? My wife would love that. Oh, actually, one other I'll show you that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Ron Danette's drums, and his building in general is just unbelievable. I've got a titanium, but I had him do kind of a black nickel brass, Black Beauty-ish drum, and then I had John Aldridge engrave it. And so, anybody that doesn't know John Aldridge, he's the guy who doesn't by hand for Ludwig or whoever else. And so that has a star on it, and you pick the swirl that you want. He does all these that look vintage. And this is so cool. He did my signature on there.
Yeah, well, you can't sell that.
No, this is like, this drum sounds great too. It's kind of Black Beauty on steroids, because Ron cuts his bearing edges so deep, you can even see on any drum how angled they look.
Oh, even from the side.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But that's part, and then the big fat snare on there, that's like just part of his sound of why his drums had that snap and that why they're so crisp.
Are you using wide snares on a lot of your drums?
No? Like a handful. All my Danettes do, and there's a couple of DWs I put them on to sort of emulate this. I don't live much because they're hard to control, and I get too much buzz for just, I guess, the way I set it up or whatever.
Yeah. Amazing.
Some guys love them, some don't.
Yeah, it's got a little bit hit or miss for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Man,
anyways,
beautiful.
Thank you for checking out the studio.
Yeah. Thank you. Dango.
Absolutely.
Very cool.